What's up, guys? Welcome to Wednesday night Art House Live. We are hanging out here. We got Matt Slay in the studio. Matt, welcome.
Hey.
Woo! I need a soundboard. Some canned audience applause, some canned laughter.
The studio audience giggles from time to time.
It'd be weird with a studio audience because that'd literally mean they'd be sitting like in my house. But yeah, we were chatting a little bit before things got started here, which we'll spill into a little bit. I know my schedule's been super crazy. Matt's got some big things that are coming up we're going to talk about.
I'm doing them right now.
Yeah. I believe James will be joining us at some point, so I'll be keeping an eye out for him.
Right on.
And then Dan Yell might actually jump on later too.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now it's a party.
Hell yeah. But so this week has been pretty busy with doing additional live streams. I am maintaining that Wednesday night is going to be the dedicated, like, if other people want to jump on, even if it's for a little bit, there's no dedicated start or stop time. If you can jump on for 20 minutes, if you can jump on for an hour, and you don't have to ask my permission to come or go, just show up. We'll get you in. If you got to leave, nice chatting with you. So that will be the format. But like this week, I did two other streams. Monday night was a little bit of a tribute stream. And then Tuesday was, I got bent out of shape, Matt. Bent out of shape. I was, there's an AI video that came out from somebody that we thought was in allegiance with the artists.
Oh, no.
And he's trying to toe the line to figure out where the safe space is, where the gray space is with AI. So if you guys haven't seen that, that is up on my channel from last night. I don't know if I nailed it or not, but I feel like I said what was on my mind. So feel free to swing by and check that out. But Matt, what do you got going on, man? What's big in your world?
Oh, what's big in my world is what's going on right now. You're going to see me flipping this board over and over and over. Tonight, I am putting down ink washes for page 1 of the second story of Patchwork Ends Volume 2.
Oh, yeah.
So I have been threatening to get this underway for quite some time, but I had other projects to get out of the way first. Those are all out of the way. I'm all out of excuses. It's go time. All right. Yeah. Patchwork Volume 2 is officially happening. And here's how old school we are in the old 3-story dungeon. The script.
There it is.
Layouts.
Yep.
Physical board.
Oh, yeah.
And brushes. All right.
That's what we like to see.
The only computer anywhere near me is this whole situation, and I blame you for that.
So. Hey, welcome to the club. I put off this whole streaming thing for the longest time, and partly
they got us, man.
I barely have room myself because this is like my mouse is currently competing for space with all these physical tools.
Right on.
It's just kind of how it is. But so Patchwork Volume 2. So how much you got, like a couple weeks cleared out that you're going to be working on it here before you have anything else big, or is this like,
oh my gosh, this is the foreseeable future. Now I have long-standing projects that come from contracts where book series A, which I'm hesitant to mention until it comes out, though the first 2 books are already out, well, 3 actually, and I just turned in the cover for number 4, but that's a 13 cover deal. So wow. Like when he calls and says, hey, I got the next one for you, I'm on that now.
Right.
That's just kind of the nature of it. And you know this, and chat, I know there's some of you guys out there that know this too. When you're in indie books, you make no money until your project is done and it's out there selling. However, you know, it's not going to happen until you do the project. So in the in-between times, you got to have the commercial work and the contracted work coming in. That's not the same as commission work. That's not the same. Commission is 100% fun, and I can't wait, and I will ruin myself doing just commission work. I'd love to, but the real deal's got to happen. And Patchwork, I've finally come around now in that cycle where one of the stories for Patchwork 2 is done, and now I'm all in with the next story for Patchwork 2. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
I did find, yeah, I don't know that it fits your model with what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I've got a buddy of mine that kind of turned me on to a model that is kind of helping make a book turn some revenue before the book's done, and that is doing that 9-page preview or 8-page preview. And that has definitely been a help.
What do you mean?
So
Page preview.
I don't know if I have an example up here or not, but instead of, so typically, like when we're making books, you know, we're going to make our 30-page, 32-page, whatever it's going to be book, and it takes us, if we're just doing it on our own, potentially months, if not sometimes even longer.
Oh, tons of fun.
Yeah, right. He gave me probably some of the best advice I ever got. This is Cameron Johnson that gave me this. He said,
"Oh, okay,
you know, Cameron."
In passing, and you get to know names on the road.
He's a real good dude. Turned me on to the idea of doing an 8-page preview
of your own book.
Of your own book. Yep.
Okay.
And if you need to put filler in there just to get to 8 pages, like you've got incomplete pages or you've got story synopsis literally written out, as long as it is a compelling cover that's going to be exclusive to the previews. Like it's not going to be the production cover when it comes out, right?
Right.
So what I've been doing, let me do a little screen share here because I've actually got some pictures pulled up from Grand Rapids this weekend. And share screen, entire screen, this one. Make sure I got the right thing. There we go. All right. So yes, thank you for the pro tip. So like these are all the comics I'm selling currently at the booth. These 3 right here are previews for the parody book that I'm doing, Black Kitty.
Okay.
So they're not going to be in production once I launch the book, but this gives me, I'm actually going to be launching this, I think, going into first part of 26. So I'm going to give it a year of just doing previews for this to drum up, get some hype out there, get people talking about it. And then that way they know when the Kickstarter launches that they're interested. They already got the preview. They know what the artwork's going to look like. And then meanwhile, I've got other books that I'm getting ready to launch. And I think moving forward, that's going to be my model is I'm going to be doing 8 or 9-page previews of every book that I launch and then giving it more or less a year to marinate, get the previews out there, get the word out, let people know approximately when it's going to launch, and then let it go.
Okay.
So I'll let you know how that goes a year from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did have a couple people make the comment when I said I was going to be launching it first thing in 26. They're like, 2026? Yeah, that's a year from now. It sounds like it's way in the future. But
well, if you push that out to 3026, the deadline's going to be a lot more lenient. I think you'll have more success.
Well, and those that are holding me to it won't be around to hold me to it, hopefully. So hopefully it's slipped their mind at that point, right?
Nothing less reliable than a dead fan base.
Yeah. Maybe there's a Twilight Zone style story in there somewhere.
That's Patchwork Volume 5. We'll get there.
Got a dead audience that you're trying to bring back to life with shenanigans. But yeah, we were talking just a couple minutes before we got launched up here. We were just asking what each other were doing, and I brought up that well, let's talk live sales first, because that is coming up this weekend. If you guys aren't familiar with Clan McDonald Comics, I've done some live sales with them before. That's going to be the first big thing on my plate. And Matt, you said that some folks had approached you about doing live sales in the past.
Yeah, well, not in the past. We were trying to set something up for this month, but the timing just didn't work out. So I never really said anything because what you don't want to do is promote something you can't deliver on.
Right.
And that's rules for the game, period. Live sales or otherwise, just if you can't do it, just keep your mouth shut.
Right.
So yeah, it was gonna happen, but then it wasn't gonna. And then I think everybody's timeline between conventions, travel, and sales, because this little adventure that I'm speaking about would have required quite a bit of logistical demand,
Yeah.
and the timeline wasn't feasible. And that is okay, because it's not, the me show. Yeah, it's my artwork that would be selling, but ultimately it's about making sure that readers, fans, and buyers have the best experience possible and get what they want. That is key. And if you
Yeah.
can't deliver that, then let's hold off until we can deliver that. That's what's, that's the important part. It's a culture. Keep everybody happy and it'll be a happier place.
Right. Was it a I don't know if you're privy to say who it was that you were working with, but was it a comic shop? Was it a like
It wasn't a shop, but they have a lot of experience as vendors, both as promoters, vendors, and this was important to me, creators. One of those gentlemen has a lot of experience on the road making books, and he understands really our side of it. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, is finding someone who can, wear that hat in a way that it's like if I say, okay, I have reservations about this, he knows why.
Yeah.
He knows exactly why. And everybody's going to get along, and we'll all do better business wise,
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little unsettling at first, when the first time I was approached anyways about doing a live sale.
Mm-hmm.
I might have turned them down if I wasn't having one of the worst shows I've ever had. I was out at doing a Comic-Con out in Chicago. I won't say which one, just so no one could say anything. But
and Chicago is one of those areas where they might have 10 and you've only heard of 2 of them.
Exactly. Well, this
that's a big ass market.
Right. Well, this little detail might give it away. I should have had literally the best booth for an artist in the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
When you walked in, they had literal red carpet that went straight down the middle of the show from the entrance.
Oh,
and then where I was at an intersection of the other red carpet that went down to the pro artist and down towards the celebrity. So I was right in like the prime time intersection.
Hell yeah.
So I'm feeling really good about it. I feel like I've got my display on point, feeling really good about it. And come to find out that on the other side of the pipe and drape across from me was the Six Flags haunted house.
Oh my God. So basically you had a ton of foot traffic that was creating lines for anything but you.
Quite the opposite.
Oh no. Okay.
It would have been nice if people were coming down. The problem was the folks that put on a stellar show at Six Flags, they do such a good job of screaming and running around in bloody clown makeup.
Okay. Yeah.
You could literally see people coming down that red carpet start to make faces like, what is going on down there? And just turn and go the other way.
They chased away your foot traffic.
Yes, literally, figuratively, all the above.
Congratulations on how good they did at their job. So good, in fact, that, they ruined it for a lot of other people.
It was a problem, man. It was a real problem. So it's a 4-day show back then.
Okay.
And Thursday, I had made maybe a couple $100, maybe, if I was lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I have spent so much money on this show, this table, this hotel.
Yeah.
Like, let's see how Friday goes. I got back to the hotel Thursday night. My ears were ringing from how much those actresses were screaming.
Oh, geez.
Like, it was that loud. I literally had to like shout at different points to talk to people coming up to my booth.
See, that would have killed me, man. I do well in crowds. I don't get anxiety so bad that I can't function at a show. I can do okay at a show. But there are certain circumstances where I have to put my headphones on and have the music going, which, as long as I have commission work in front of me, doesn't bother me, because I would rather be working at all times. Hence me turning out a book tonight on your show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would rather be working, But in situations where the noise behind me is as loud or louder than the noise in front of me, and my brain can't process what's going on either side,
Yep.
and that is when I freak the hell out and I kind of tune out and I'm donezo and the headphones are going on.
Yeah. Well, the fun part was, so Friday morning I get there and I'm talking to another vendor. We both have the same complaint that this this haunted house ain't it. And no one was going to it, so they were literally running around the show floor with signs like "Come to the haunted house at booth number whatever."
Yeah.
And, which you're not supposed to do. Like I can't run around with a sign, to other people's booths and try to recruit people to come see me.
Yeah, the poaching thing is universally sleazy, dude.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy.
Nope. They were that guy.
Oh no.
But granted, they took up probably 6 booths worth of space, if not more. So
Oh my gosh.
They because they built a haunted house.
Okay, so what they did was they paid for enough real estate to ignore some of the rules.
Yeah, and that was just it. I think they were even one of the sponsors. So,
okay.
Now, granted, I'm sure if you went into said haunted house, it's probably a really cool experience. But Saturday morning, they fired up an electric chainsaw, and I felt my soul leave my body.
Oh my gosh.
That was the first time that I'd ever gone to talk to management about what was happening.
Oh no.
Give me a quick second here. I'm going to bring James in.
Karen Messenger.
James, what's happening, brother?
What's going on, guys?
Not a whole lot, man. Not a whole lot. How's your evening treating you?
Pretty good. Had a little bit of a late dinner, but yeah, we're doing good, man. Doing good.
Sweet. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish up this story real quick. I've kind of been dragging on about it, but so yeah, I'm at this show, and partway through Friday, it was not going any better than Thursday was. This was a couple years ago, by the way. At any rate, I'm gonna get some weird audio here in a second. I'm trying to bring up this train at any window. So Friday's going terrible. And I'm like, I might abandon my booth.
Oof.
I might literally just pack up my stuff, leave. If anyone calls me or texts me, just be like, hey, yeah, sorry, was feeling sick. I'm trying to get someone to cover for me. Please just forget I, exist.
Yeah.
Well, partway through Friday, this dude comes to my booth. He's like, dude, I love your stuff, man. Like, I'm going to bring my boss over here. He runs a comic shop. It's called Clan McDonald Comics. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, stop on by. Well, they come down later and they're like, wow, we really like your stuff. Would you want to do a live sale? And most of the time when anybody asks me about doing anything at the booth, I'm instantly skeptical. I feel like you're probably trying to con me into something. But Steve, like, he just put it very simply. He's like, hey, here's the deal. We only sell what you will let us sell. You don't have to do anything. We'll run the whole show. Occasionally, if you want to chime in and talk about a piece or whatever you can, we get our commission cut, and that's it.
That's awesome.
And he said, we're literally working with A, B, and C artists at this show. I think he was even doing something with Silvestri. Like Mark Silvestri was there. I think he was doing a live sale with him. I could be wrong about that. But he's worked with like everybody in the business. And I'm like, well, I don't think he would continue to be working with these guys if he was a scoundrel. So I was like, you know what? I literally have nothing to lose because I was considering packing up anyways. So
yeah, just let it ride and see what happens, man.
Yeah, so we gave it a shot, and it went really well. I mean, I probably made, for my entire weekend, I made about half of that revenue in an hour and a half with those guys.
Nice.
They got awesome collectors on there that are all about supporting the community, and it was great. Got to meet all of them. So I'm sure results will vary with different
Oh,
different
sure.
avenues of doing live sales, but if you get the right people, man, it can be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome.
Have you ever done a live sale, James?
I have not. Something I would like to do in the future, but yeah, no, I have not.
Yeah, that's I've also got a Whatnot live seller account, which I might be
I as well do. I saw a funny story. I signed up for Whatnot many moons ago, and they send you through this whole like training thing that you have to do before you even get your seller's account. I don't know if you had to do that. Maybe
Yep.
They don't do that anymore. And I was like, okay, and I was like, I postponed it. I joined a later one, and then they like harass you about starting your first live sale, and they harass you. It's in a good way. I mean, they want to make you feel comfortable to do it, and I think that's part reason why Whatnot has been so successful so far is they have a great team that like kind of helps you coordinate and stuff. I was just always too afraid to do it on my own. I was like, I don't know what I would do. Like, it was very daunting, and it's just something I'd like to do in the future. I just like I'm so clustered in my area. Like, it looks like I have a lot of room, but that's just visuals. I don't. I have like my desk and then the wall behind me, and there's a little bit of open space here, but like I have to set up a whole table and do all things, and I'm just like, I don't know how to set this up, and watching other people do it. I mean, some people kind of do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and sometimes they just sell comics and then they sell their art stuff. And so it's just been really daunting for me to be like, okay, I gotta go spend 2 hours to do this and just like live sale and draw the whole time. But eventually,
I think that's why. Yeah, I think that's why I said yes to the guys who approached me. It's because they have already been doing it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like two, maybe even 3 years. Right. And they've been doing it to the point where they have evolved their business model and changed a few things. And that tells me that they have not been afraid to make the right kind of mistakes and learn from those and just keep going. Okay, that's the right kind of experience. Anyone who comes up to me and says, we've had all these successes and never once have we had to take the L. And I'm like, okay, well then you didn't learn something. You're missing something and you didn't learn it. But when somebody comes up to me and says, oh God, that first year was a friggin' train wreck, I'm like, okay, you know something,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's like, I've been having this mentality for the last, because I also have a Whatnot live sale that I've never used. And my mentality has been like, am I really going to take the time and energy to try to grow another effectively social media thing to try to drive people to try to sell stuff when I could just show up on other people's live streams that already have an audience and let them do all the heavy lifting?
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I might start doing like a once a month. I was talking with one of the guys at where was I? It was at Motor City. You guys know Skeff?
I do not.
I do not.
So he's a big he's big on Whatnot and doing all the different live sale stuff. I was chatting with him, and he's like, dude, he's like, just do it once. Just do like an end of the month clean out. He said, you got December's coming up. You've only got one show for the month. Just towards the end of the month, do a small business Tuesday with Steve. And go on there, and whatever it is that you're trying to move to just to, get some money to pay, just do it once a month.
Yeah.
Do your first one, see how it goes. Even if you only sell one thing, you'll have your experience under your belt. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, don't do it again.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I have so much inventory that I want to just get rid of at this point. And I might also have to do that.
Dude, I am at the point right now where I've generated so much material for this weekend in particular. I probably have, since we talked about doing this live sale, I've had probably about a month or so notice. I have accumulated around 2.5 boxes of short boxes of sketch covers.
Oh
Oh
wow.
my gosh.
It's
Wait,
insane.
they're like already drawn on or waiting to be drawn on?
Already drawn on. I don't know how
Holy
many.
smokes.
So like when I'm at conventions and nothing's going on, I am sketching.
Yeah.
When
Oh, okay.
like my daily routine is like I'll do like a page of inks for something. So like I'm doing some TMNT stuff. Old Casey Jones punching the snot out of a foot soldier there.
Nice.
We got Raph stabbing a foot soldier in the head. Why not? I have got books upon books upon books, and then I'm also doing. Oh wait, I've got a lot of sketches that were laying around that have just never been finished, so I inked them and colored some of them. So She-Hulk. But there's always that chance that the audience will already be tapped at some point. So like we might be going through stuff that we sell a bunch and then people are like, I've spent more than I'm supposed to spend. Call it good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another potential live sale. We're lining up the details that will be at GalaxyCon Columbus in a couple weekends. So whatever doesn't sell at this show, we'll have a different audience, different market. And then all of December is going to be working on finishing books.
Nice.
So yeah, I've got my work cut out for me.
Oh, we all.
I want to come back to Columbus, man. I went out there several months ago. My wife and I headed out that way. That was sort of a anniversary, birthday, kind of a present. She took me to the Billy Ireland and just bask in the glory of legit cartooning. And fell in love with the place. Every time we go to a state that I've never been to, it's always a matter of, all right, find the nearest comic shop. How's it going? And I kid you not, we found Laughing Ogre pretty quickly. And I think we were there every day but one.
What is Laughing Ogre?
Laughing Ogre is a comic shop in Columbus.
Okay. I'm not.
And
never been to that
it's
one.
a really good one. When you walk in, it's a similar vibe and flavor as like Heroes Aren't Hard to Find in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Or Comics, Cards, and Collectibles in Reisterstown, Maryland. It's very similar to those. Like right away, whoever's running this joint knows their stuff and they know how to market it not just to readers but also to artists and creators.
Yeah.
There's definitely a different kind of vibe for that kind of thing. And they had that figured out. And I was so happy just being there. And I found stuff in there that I've never found anywhere else. And that speaks volumes. On the other hand, if you're going to have a comic shop a stone's throw away from the Billy Ireland, you better know your stuff.
Yeah.
And the folks in charge of Laughing Ogre absolutely know their stuff.
I just put a reminder in my phone for when I'm down there. Maybe we'll see what kind of time I have. I usually stay with my sister when I'm down in Columbus. So
yeah,
maybe
hit that joint.
Over there and
hit
check
it
that out.
Because Laughing Ogre is a solid use of your time.
Yeah. The one thing I'm always on the hunt for, of course, is more sketch covers because I go through them quick.
Yeah.
It amazes me how many comic shops don't stock blank covers. They just don't.
I have a theory about that, actually. And it's a relatively simple one. The shops have to pay a premium to get them in the store, right? That's part of the inventory that they order.
Right.
Usually, they're not going to sell unless it's right before there is a show coming where an artist who is willing to do a lot of sketch covers is going to be there. Or it's already drawn on. But if it's already drawn on, that means somebody at the shop, maybe an owner, maybe a co-owner, somebody has, again, spent the money to get it that way. So, stocking a lot of sketch covers doesn't make a lot of money sense unless they know they can make it back. And making it back is kind of a gamble.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough with those. The shop that I used to go to, they don't actually sell comics anymore. Funny enough,
Yeah.
they
What
were
do they sell now?
now they're only sports memorabilia and Pokemon. They switched up their business. They used to have boxes and boxes and boxes of comics you could go through and just buy and whatever, right? Now they don't do comics at all. They have like a little tiny little itty bitty corner. And it's like comics that's just left over. But yeah, every time I'd go in there and I'd ask like, hey, you guys order blanks? You know what's going on? How come we don't have any blanks? And it's like they only get them if they are requested. Like if you do them through you pre-order or whatever. Or if they come in a pack or something that of like a indie comic, so it's like, or randomly they'll have
like a retailer pack.
Yeah.
Well, Steve,
Steve,
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Steve, you know Big Lake Comics.
Yeah.
JD and Adam, who run that place, they stock blanks, and they keep plenty of them because what they also do is they sell them at kind of a reduced rate. It's easy to go to a convention and see blanks for 15, 20, maybe 10 or whatever. They keep their short boxes full of like 5, 8, and 10. And then, if we have a show coming up or if they're going to have an artist in the house, they'll bust out that short box and say, all right, these were all 10. They're normally 10. Now they're all 5 because we got somebody here who can sketch on them. I like that being done too, because now that inventory is available to the public at a reduced price, and it's going to get used for its intended purpose. I think that's pretty cool.
I like that. Yeah, that's all the local shops around me are doing the same thing that James was describing. It's like they can't move them as much as they would like, so it's like the only way you're going to get them is if they happen to get them by accident, almost like it came with another order, or if you special order, you put it on your pull list. And I felt kind of bad. The one guy I was talking to, he's like, "Yeah, I can get you set up if you want." I'm like, "That's not really how I work."
Was he trying to sell them to you in bulk?
Well, he wanted me to start getting a pull list put together, and I'm like, "Hey, I respect that, but I'm a very fluid business and have commitment issues, so we're not going to do this right now. Thank you for looking out, though."
Yeah, I think the pull list is kind of like a default comic shop's like sale pitch because it's like, it's just like GameStop. Like you go to GameStop and you're like, "Oh, you have an interest in this game? It looks cool. You want to pre-order it? That $5 pre-order. And then you have you'll have a guaranteed copy when you come to the store. So either they're collecting your $5 or they have a guaranteed sale."
There was a big scandal. I don't know if you remember this with I think it was Halo 2 back in the day. They had made a pre-order for it, and they kept delaying the game and delaying I think it was Halo 2 was the one that they did this with. And there was like a conspiracy. No idea if this is true or not, but because they kept delaying the game, but they had all these people's pre-order money, the theory was that they were using that money on the stock exchange to like try to gamble more or less.
Yeah, that's possible.
I have no idea if that's true. I thought I remember hearing that.
That's funny.
Could be made up.
I gave up on GameStop when I can't remember which Assassin's Creed it was. Not Origins. It was the one after that. So I've always pre-ordered the collector's edition of Assassin's Creed, just because I'm a sucker for it and I love it. And they always come with a statue or a soundtrack or whatever. But what I'm after is the art book. They put all the production art in a little book.
Yeah,
I love that. That's what I'm after. And I pre-ordered that, and I put down my deposit. And on the day of, I got an email 24 hours beforehand. It was like the night before saying, "Oh, we've canceled your order."
Oh, wow.
I paid you in full.
Yeah.
What do you mean you canceled my order? And when I called them out, they said, "Oh, there weren't enough produced to fill orders." I'm like, "No, you took pre-orders. That's how many you produce."
Right.
Yeah.
And then I go in 2 days later and I see copies of the collector's edition on the shelf.
Wow.
And I was like, "No, you put mine on the shelf."
Yeah.
we're done. We're done. Done with Ubisoft. Done with GameStop. Done with Assassin's Creed. Done.
Yeah. Yeah, Ubisoft's going down a dark path, but we can talk about that at a different show.
I don't know much about it. All I know is I feel like this is kind of a weird one. I played the original Rainbow Six back in the day. It is very different than how it is now. Now it's like a Call of Duty kind of first-person shooter. Back in the did you play the original?
Yeah.
Whereas
I played on
Yeah,
PC.
the original was more like a squad command thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was still first-person shooter, but you couldn't see your own gun. It was just crosshairs on the screen. And
That
then
was the Island Thunder, Desert Siege, like those games.
I think that was Ghost Recon.
That was Ghost. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which that was another good one.
Yeah.
That was out of all of them, that was my favorite. But yeah, with Rainbow Six, like you could actually plan your siege of a building where you'd have different teams, you'd have go codes, and you could map out what they would do at each checkpoint. So you could actually like tactically enter a room in a way that an actual SWAT team would. It was pretty cool. And then now it's Rainbow Six Siege is like you can play as the guy with the sledgehammer that tears down the wall. Which is fun in a different way. It's just not it's not what I'm trying to do.
It's not the original game. Yeah.
But were they the ones that also did Prince of Persia? Or was that?
I
think Ubisoft did Prince of Persia at one point, or they did a remake of it, one or the other.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was the other one. You want to talk about getting lied to? I was so hyped back in the day for Prince of Persia. It was one of the sequels where they used that "I Stand Alone" by Godsmack for the commercial. I stand alone, and I'm like, this game looks amazing.
Because Scorpion King made money at the box office.
Yeah. Well, so I go out there and I buy this game and quickly realize this game is hot garbage. It's one of those things where like there's 1,000 different combos, but you can just use the one over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then that is, of course, until you get to the boss, and the boss is just a bunch of patterns that you have to memorize. And you have to block until you get a window. And once you get the window, you can do the one attack. And I'm looking at the health bar and I'm like, this boss fight's going to take me like 10 minutes.
But you know you're going to win because you know the pattern.
Exactly. And that was when I'm like, yep, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
But that's Elden Ring, though. That's everybody that's into like, have you guys played that Elden Ring?
Yes.
You into it?
I really like the game, but
Yeah.
it's too hard for me. It's too hard for me. I mean, some people make it look like it's easy, but
Yeah.
like I could grind for days and days and days to level up, and I would still suck at it. I'm just not. I don't know what it is. Is I can't find my gameplay style in the game, but yeah, no.
It's a similar idea, though, right? Like you got to memorize the combos and like memorize.
Sort of. I mean, yeah, sort of. It's mix and match your play style kind of deal. Like you do different types of weapons, different types of equipment to get different effects and different outcomes for the battle. And it's really like it's
More
really
like
just
Mega
grinding. Yeah.
It's more like Mega Man, where you got to use the what was it? You got to use like the light gun against the wind guy, or
Sort of. Yeah. Sort of.
I'm simplifying it, but
Yeah, I mean, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like you pick your character style and like whether you want to be magic, and then pick the different type of magic you want to go with, level that up, and like get it all the way, and then figure out what kind of different types of attachments you want to do that do different things. It's a very complex game.
yeah.
But it's horrendous in the way that it like kind of really beats you down. If that makes sense.
It's
It's
played
just
Mike Tyson's
brutal.
Punch Out back in the day.
Yeah, dude. It's like
Yeah.
it's like trying to beat Mike Tyson as a beginner.
I
And then,
I couldn't get past.
Well, we just watched that on TV. It's not that hard.
Turns out,
yeah. Oh my goodness. Talk about Mike Tyson.
did you guys watch that?
I didn't watch it because I knew what the outcome was going to be. Although I was hoping that he was going to win, but
Yeah,
No, I
think
mean,
that was most people.
I kind of won the pool that we had going just because I said, look, either Mike's going to win in the first 2 rounds, or Paul swings it all. He drags it out for as long as possible just to tire him out. Or the real possibility is Jake Paul gets 40 million, Mike Tyson's guaranteed 20 million. Whatever cut is whatever cut, and everybody goes home rich. And he gets to say he beat Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson says, "F y'all, I got 20 million." Like that's that. People complain that wrestling is fake. Really? You seen boxing in the last 20 years?
yeah,
So-
I mean, they really hit each other, but in the same vein,
Yeah.
it's mostly
Now,
fake.
On the flip side to all that, the Serrano fight right before it, damn.
I heard that was really good.
I think Serrano got robbed. Katie Taylor's nice and all, but all she does is headbutt.
I don't know anything about it. All I heard was that the gals that were fighting were way more intense and way more entertaining than
That was your whole show. Yeah, those two, much respect. Much respect.
which is usually the opposite. It's usually like everyone complains about all the what do they call those? The matches that lead up.
The undercard.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone tends to complain that they were garbage and it was a
Not
waste
this
of
time.
But
Not
Yeah.
this time.
that was like the one thing everyone can agree on is like that was the highlight of the evening.
Yeah, Taylor and Serrano brought it the whole time.
Well,
It
I
was
would have to
amazing.
imagine if you know that you're getting followed up with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, it's like you got to bring your A game.
Yeah.
Well, given the fight, it was really easy to upstage the.
Turns
It was
out.
really easy to upstage the main event.
Did you guys ever watch the original UFCs? I'm talking.
Oh yes,
Back when there was
Tank
only 3
Abbott.
rules. Yeah.
Nada.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that stuff. That was wild.
brutal days, man.
If it was
Well, a lot
still
of
like
the
that,
a lot of the rules that are in place now are because Dana White just saw like, okay, we don't have any like heroes because everyone's getting injured and jacked up, and their careers are just over too quick. So
not to mention the fact that it's literally a tournament where you have to fight like 3 times in a night if you're going to win the tournament. Like
yeah,
that alone, it's crazy.
I think it was like UFC 1 through 14 or 1 through 13 or whatever it was. They were freaking brutal, man.
My buddy, he would do those fight nights back then, and he would record them on VHS. I wouldn't go see it live, but I would watch the VHS afterwards.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
I'm like, this is the most buck wild. There's no weight classes. There's barely any rules. There's guys that are literally unconscious getting their faces kicked in. I'm like, this is amazing. And now it's like it's borderline boxing, but obviously more.
well, there's a lot
intense.
more jits now,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and the
I'll
jits
never-
thing took off the way it did because Gracie did as well as he did, as small as he was, and everybody's
the
like, "Oh,
crazy
there's
part.
something to this."
You watch this dude in a traditional gi get in the ring, and you're like, he's gonna get his butt kicked. He's like looking like he's doing karate stuff, and then it goes to the ground, and he chokes the guy out in seconds, and I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
This guy looks like he could be your math teacher, and he's like taking out these giant dudes. It's freaking amazing. Yeah. There was one, I don't know if you saw it. It was the one, I think it was the guy that was trained as a ninja that won it.
Okay.
So I can't remember the exact details, and obviously whichever one it was, but it was a tournament format, like I said, where you have your initial match, you have your semifinal, and your final.
Right.
Well, whoever he was up against was leading up until that point got injured in the last round. The dude had won, but I think he broke his fist or his wrist or something. So
Okay.
they took him out for medical emergency. So they have, instead of taking the other semifinalist or someone else that's been competing, they bring in a fresh guy as the
That
alternate.
doesn't seem right.
They could have brought in, like, again, your math teacher, who probably would have had a better chance than anybody else that's had their face beaten in all night. But they bring in
have
this.
that as a movie.
Yeah, right. I mean, honestly, they need to make some kind of movie based on the original UFC because it is the most intense stuff.
Well, if you've ever seen the movie Warrior with Tom Hardy, it was a science teacher, not a math teacher.
Wow.
And it's a good one. It's a good one. It's worth seeing.
Same idea. Like he's just out there doing like martial arts stuff, or
well, there's no way to really describe it without giving away the relationship between the two fighters at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get into too much of it, but it comes down to two things. One is a guy who's just a pure rage machine and knows the game. The other one, he has his back to the wall because life has him. Kids, mortgage, bills up to here, victim of the housing crash where suddenly they had an adjustable rate mortgage. So what they owed on their new payment was more than what the house was worth to begin with. And it's like anyone who gets into this UFC style tournament, like you said, original rules, it's like show up and do it. And if you do it, here's a couple mil, but you got to get there. And it's like the guy who is driven entirely by personal demons and rage over here. And then over here, you've got, this is my only out. Yeah. This is my only option.
That's interesting.
And it's the same story being told from two different sides of the brain.
So you kind of want to root for
personal attachment. You do want to root for both of them, and you find yourself rooting for both of them.
Interesting.
And then they do the Hollywood thing, and it's like, well, they got to fight each other. And it's like, oh no, who do I like?
You're like, is there a way everybody can win? That's the hard part with like the test audience is like you try to show and be like, did we pick the right thing? Does this work?
Well, there's an old adage in writing. If you want to write a character well, find the person you love the most and put them through hell.
There's a lot of truth to that. You get a more interesting story and a more interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you get the emotional connection and engagement from the reader as well.
Yeah. Something I was gonna ask in regards to that.
About writing?
It was about writing. I don't know. It's gone.
What? No, man, hit me.
No, I would if I could remember. Dude, that's been my brain lately.
It's busy season, man, and we're all. I've been so scatterbrained. I got like between the shows that I'm doing and helping my wife with her business and trying to make sure I'm promoting my stuff, which I've been doing an awful job at.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot, man.
Yep.
What do you have one more show this year?
Two. I have two more. I have one this weekend coming up. That's in Saratoga, New York. That is my best show of the year. I will almost never not go to that show.
Does Josh do that one too?
No, he's not done that one.
I feel like he was telling me about that. It had to have been you then.
It was me. He does a lot of local shows. More or less like actual art shows versus like comic cons. But that one's good. It's about a 4-hour drive for me, which isn't too bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So I'm excited. This will be a big weekend for us. I'm hoping at least. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so. That was I was going to do a little bit of Grand Rapids recap tonight. For those of you hanging out in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. We've got James from Sketching the Beast on here. We also got Matt Slay of all sorts of comic fame. Feel free to hit that like and subscribe while you're hanging out. I guess while we're hanging out, I'll do just a quick recap on Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Let me do a little screen share here.
Let's break it down.
Yeah. So one of the things I've been a little hesitant about was with
hey, Flower.
What's up, Flower? I was a little concerned. Everyone was saying that part of the reason some shows people leading up to the elections, why people weren't buying stuff was because of the elections. And the mentality is that anytime that there's any amount of world unease, like think about when the Ukraine wars were kicking off a couple years ago, like it's a natural human instinct to kind of clam up on spending. It's a survival instinct, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similar concerns with around election. I've got a buddy, Ben, that sells flask, and he's like, hey, whether people are winning or losing, I'm selling flasks, man. Everybody's got a drink. Like,
yeah, that's funny.
And
it's funny. I know him, and I'm going to be using him for merchandise, and I'm one of the people that he did a proof of concept flask for me. I tell you what, can I shout him out because he produced something amazing. He said, yo, let me, he said, put me to the test. And this was at Baltimore. He said, put me to the test because I got the machine with me. If you can think it up, I can make it. And I was like, okay, this is my chance to do like a really dope Christmas present for somebody. A guy I know had just had a baby. So, and he's a big, Smokey and the Bandit fan. So I was like, all right, here's the quote. Here's the picture. Here's the guy. The next day, he turned over the sickest flask glass combo. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
The photo is legit. The quality is all the way there. So if you're looking for something like that, Ben's the guy. He's just the guy. Just know it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He I met him back at when was it? Motor City a couple years ago. Either way, he's been a good dude. But yeah, he said it best. He's like, hey, either way, people are emotional buying, whether winning, celebrating, or they're losing and consoling themselves. And I'd say both Motor City and Grand Rapids were personal best for both shows. Grand Rapids did not feel like it. I was having a hard time. It was so, like, Friday felt so slow. Even though there were people coming through, it was a lot of window shopping. Saturday, the place was packed, but a lot of window shopping.
Yeah.
And there's part of it that's like, I get the gut instinct that maybe I need to change up what I have on display. Maybe I need to change up what I'm doing. But then there's also a part of me that's like, stay the course. The only way you're going to be able to be scientific about this is if you stay consistent with what you're doing.
Yeah.
If it works, great. If it doesn't, then change it up for next time.
Yeah, and you got to have a control group,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's with this show in particular. It was one of those things I get asked all the time about, like the pinup stuff from other guys and gals that are looking to get into it. Does it work? Are people into it? It's a mixed answer. It is a polarizing effect. Some people are really into it, and guys and gals alike, and they'll buy a ton of stuff from you, and then other people will literally laugh at you. And here's the thing about this show.
That's interesting.
I have had some of my best sales came from a few people that were buying literally every comic I had, literally every print I had that were all pinups. And then I had so many people that were literally laughing and pointing. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah, and again, personal best for this show. So I'm like, okay, maybe next time I do this, I still have a way to show that I have pinups, but maybe not as out in the open. Maybe I move them around a bit.
Pointing and laughing because they show a little cleavage, or like what are they laugh? I guess what are they laughing about?
There is what I'm learning is there's a lot of people that they don't know how to respond when they see it. It's for them, it's awkward. Like if you're there with your buddies and you see something like that, it's kind of like if you're at the shopping mall with your buddies when you're 17 and you walk past Victoria's Secret and you're like, oh, you want to stop in there? Because you don't know what to say. You don't know how to react to it,
Yeah. That's interesting.
So there was a bit of that going on.
I don't know. I feel like any attention is good attention.
Well,
when you're at a show.
when you
Because
haven't
then
been
it
selling anything
stirs
for a
people.
couple hours and you got someone pointing and laughing
Yeah,
at your
that's
stuff
true.
every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's kind of awkward. Yeah, that's kind of annoying actually.
Yeah.
That would probably annoy me.
I can, this isn't like a game of one-upsmanship, but I promise you nothing is weirder than people walking by and laughing because they think your name is fake. Do you know how many people see a horror comic for sale and they see my name and it's like, wow, way to be creative, douche.
Yeah. Like,
No, that's actually my name, guys.
Wow. Yeah, that's funny as heck, dude.
And then I have to try and explain that. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. Here's my driver's license. What do you want?
Yeah, like the audacity of some people sometimes, man. Like, and I get it. Like, it's well, I mean, it's so funny. Some people are just. I just don't think that they know how to react in public. Like, I don't know if they just were taught or like.
And that's fair.
What the proper etiquette is, and it's like one of those things. Like, I feel like someone needs to like make like a public service announcement. Like, this is the appropriate way to react to things. This is the appropriate way to be, when you're in the public, because it's people are, I don't know, people just have their own. I guess they have their own opinions or whatever. But
there's actually a YouTube video that's just called Comic Con Etiquette that has like 80,000 views. And I feel like
it needs 180,000.
I want to make another one.
I think it needs like 80 million.
Yeah.
Like this needs to circulate. Because it talks about it from a vendor perspective as well as if you were the person shopping around there, and it's fantastic.
So
right
let me. Well, here let's answer this question real quick. Flower wants to know, Matt, what your name is.
My name is Matt Slay.
Matt Slay.
Slaying it.
Slaying. So it's funny. So I just got my email for my next couple of shows, and in one of the emails, one of the emails, the guy who runs the show, he likes to kind of, and I won't mention names and which show it is because I got a couple. But the guy, he likes to kind of, obviously be like, hey, don't do this. I shouldn't have to say this, but don't do this.
Right.
So, I mean, at every show, it's always something, man. I swear. I don't think I've had a show this year that something hasn't happened in the show.
Yeah.
Whether it be the fire, electricity issue, whatever.
Right.
I think.
Oh my God! What?
Yeah, I've actually had the fire alarm either pulled, set off, or whatever at every show I've been at, except for like 2 this year.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Legit dangerous, but okay.
I feel like I'm the one bringing the bad luck to the show. Like, why is this happening every show?
It's good
like,
to know.
I'm losing money here, guys.
Good to know that you're the common denominator here.
Atlas. Yeah, now we know. Now we know where the problem is.
Oh, James is going to be there? Okay.
Yeah. Stay away. It's something's gonna happen, man. Something's happening.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so he was given some pointers.
Yeah. So I could probably give you an entire list of all the emails that he sent out over the years with different things in them.
Yeah.
This one, however, was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
One of the rules he had to put in there was, do not poop in a pizza box and leave it in the hallway. And I asked, and I said, is this just you being funny, or has this happened? And he says, a lot more than that happened, but we're going to keep that under wraps.
Wow.
Somebody went home a legend with their friends. Somebody went home a legend.
Or something, man. I don't, like, why would you do that? Like, I don't know, man. Just, but yeah, he's like, yeah, worse things have happened than that. And I was like,
well, remember, we now live in an age where Jackass was considered classic television.
Yeah.
That was 20 years ago. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm. Talk about awkward.
Yeah. Well, I only watched I kind of thumbed through the video about the etiquette for shows, and I feel like your point earlier about like the general public just doesn't know how to act is spot on. I think it's good that there's people making YouTube videos like that to like try to kind of help.
Yeah.
Oh, that's public service, bro.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's huge.
That's the kind of content I want to make.
But there was a situation. I doubt this guy would even watch this video. I've never met him, but there. I'll just leave it vaguely anonymous. I was at a show recently where someone had set up their booth to be like the horseshoe shape, where you can actually walk into it like it's a little stall.
Yeah.
Which I think
I
is
kind of
probably
dig that, especially for the toy vendors. I kind of dig that for the toy vendors.
dude. It's for toy vendors, it makes more sense. But if you're an artist, it makes more sense for surface area. Like people can come in and see everything. But
Yeah.
from a psychological perspective, nobody wants to walk into your 10 by 10 horseshoe and have to talk to you. Like people barely want to talk to us to begin with,
Yeah.
let alone get stuck in that little horseshoe, right?
Yeah.
Ew, it speaks. Ew.
Dude, do you know John Taffer, Bar Rescue?
Yeah.
So he actually
Love
talks
Bar
about
Rescue.
that. He has a wonderful book called Raising the Bar. And it talks about like restaurants and clubs and stuff and how to make them more profitable and all this, but it applies a lot to what we do.
Yeah.
Sure.
And one of the things he talks about is like the survival instinct mentality about people when they walk into an area. If they can't see a way through it safely to an exit, they are less likely to go into it. So there's these guys that are like making these nightclubs and these dance clubs and stuff, and they're wondering why people won't go to their special lounge area. And they're like, if people can't see how they get in and out, they won't go in there.
Right.
Or if they feel like it's going to put them in an uncomfortable situation, they won't go there.
Yeah. People don't like to be trapped. That's one of the rules I've learned. Yeah. With
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some artist alleys that mandate that you cannot move your tables from the line. You have to maintain that line so you don't do the horseshoe thing. But the next problem it creates is that if you make the horseshoe, some people think that gives them the right to stand out in the aisleway and usher people into their little horseshoe. And this guy actually had like a director's chair and was just sitting out in front of his booth in the middle of the aisleway.
Oh, he was the carnival barker.
Dude, now granted, I was nowhere near this guy, but I wanted to say something to him like, dude, what the hell are you thinking? It's most
cheapens the whole experience for a lot of people. It just cheapens everything.
Oh, especially your neighbors, because now you've got all these people that just want to get away from this dude, and you're stuck next to him all weekend. Like, I don't know, but I'm not trying to be Comic-Con Batman. You know, I'm not trying to like.
You have your own light and everything.
You know what though? I think a Comic-Con Batman would be a much more welcome sight than like a fire marshal coming through to tell you everything you're doing wrong, straight up.
Well, that's the other problem I've got is having a background in OSHA safety. It's like I have to ignore so much walking around. I sent a picture to one of my buddies that still works for that company. Again, I'll leave this place anonymous, but you know those big propane cylinders for forklifts? Mm-hmm. They're like the size of a beer keg. It was literally sitting in the middle of the fire exit. Like if you look at the fire doors, you got a giant propane cylinder sitting in front of the fire exit. I'm like, this is wrong on every level.
Yeah.
I think that gives me hope.
Yeah.
Oh, the bad ones are going to take themselves out. I'm wistfully excited about it, you know.
Yeah. Well, Darwinism at its finest.
If you get a chance to watch it happen in real time.
Do they? Yeah. Do they still do the Darwin Awards?
Not on purpose, but the internet exists, so it's kind of a daily occurrence.
That's funny.
I'm curious.
Darwin Awards.
I'm curious. But what were we talking about before all that?
Con etiquette?
Yeah, so I guess for Grand Rapids, just to finish, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
There's a DarwinAwards.com. We're going to come back to that in a second.
Nice. Now we're talking.
What's up, Jill?
Hola.
Flower, thanks for hanging out. You guys have fun. We'll see you around.
Oh, I got to move my lamp around. It's going to get weird on my camera for a minute. Sorry.
Oh, good. So Grand Rapids ended up being a solid show. They have one of my favorite breweries up that way. That is the Founders Brewery. Founders.
Hell yeah.
You like some dark porters, some dark stouts.
I feel like I've had Founders before.
Yeah, they
They have an IPA. Is that?
they do make IPAs, but they're more known for stouts in
Okay.
particular. They have the breakfast stout, oatmeal breakfast stout. That's very good.
Ooh,
I
would drink that.
Oh, it's so good. But my favorite, they've got a strong ale called the Dirty Bastard, and it is phenomenal.
I love it. It markets itself. It's beautiful.
Dude, that was the first one I ever had from them, and I was hooked. It's got those darker notes, almost like a stout, but with more of your maltier notes that you get from like an ale or a lager. So it's a nice in between. It's very good.
Nice.
All right, I gotta dump this cup out. I'll be right back.
Yeah, do your thing, man. So as far as Grand Rapids goes, I missed the opportunity to renew last year to keep my spot. I had a corner booth previously.
Yeah.
So they had let me know that they did have the ability to do like a double booth. So I tried it out for this show, and all in all, I do think it helped me.
Yeah.
But for the amount of foot traffic coming through, I'm like, I definitely have to change some things for next year. I think for what I've got going on, there's too many different options with like the comic books, the original art, and everything else. I think it literally my table just needs to be bundles of prints. Here's the Star Wars bundle. Here's the X-Men bundle. Here's the,
Yeah.
and make them deals too good to pass up and get people hooked that way. That being said, I have not heard from Motor City when their November dates are. And these guys changed their dates from, what was it, the weekend of the 17th to now they're doing the weekend of the 3rd next year. So I'm really hoping that Motor City doesn't move their show dates around.
Yeah.
But at this point, Motor City has not gotten back to me.
Yeah. It would be nice if shows posted their future dates somewhere.
Well, I know
of
the
them
larger shows will usually announce their dates like at the tail end of the existing show.
But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And-
larger shows I know aren't as big of a problem. The smaller shows, I think they have a hard time finding like when they're going to do it. But
Yeah.
it'd be nice if they could book a year in advance so vendors know, right?
Yep. Yeah. So, Motor City, in particular, the challenge that they've got is that they do 2 shows a year. They do a May show and they do a November show, and they don't announce the dates for the next upcoming one until like they're not historically they haven't announced November until the May show has happened.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And now I'm hoping to God that I don't get double booked in November.
Yeah, that would suck.
And the problem with Motor City in particular is that if you fall off the train, it's so hard to get back in.
Yeah.
I used to have a killer double Artist Alley table at Motor City, and then I missed it in May. That was my sister's wedding. There's no way I was going to miss that. So for November, they're like, yeah, sorry, we don't have your spot anymore. But if you want to do a vendor booth, you can do a vendor booth, which is almost twice as much.
Ooh, yeah.
Can be.
So
Can be.
Well, does the vendor booth do better for you?
it was my personal best this time.
Yeah. See, sometimes the vendor traffic is really kind of where it ends up being.
Well, Motor City in particular has such a good artist alley. It's hard to pass up because I think
I've
it's,
seen it online, and I've never been able to travel like that. Once certain life events come to pass, my wife is still in school, so once that's out of the way and we're both working, I will be back on the road extensively. But by then, Patchwork will be, 3 volumes will be out. I'll be promoting other things, and I'll be doing a lot more commercial work with other publishers. So that'll be the time to get back on the road, because I want to go do a lot of those shows, but it's just I see the guest list and I see what kind of a party some of those shows can be, and I'm like, God, I miss being on the road all the time. I just miss it straight up.
Yeah, I don't do too much of the networking aspect, like going out afterwards and all that stuff. But yeah, Motor City in particular, like that is one of the best artist alleys that I've done. Like I know a couple other guys that usually do vendor booths that will insist on doing artist alley there just because that audience knows to go there.
Right on.
That's interesting.
Baltimore is another one. Like Baltimore, I tend to do artist alley. I signed up again for the same spot next year, but
I gotta do that.
I think I'm gonna do vendor booth next time though.
Oh,
Matt,
yeah.
I don't know about you, but Sunday afternoon at Baltimore, were you still pretty busy Sunday afternoon?
So I don't know what happened this year, but the ebb and flow of that show is usually you got your hardcores and your dedicateds who are coming in on a Friday.
Yeah.
You know, they took the day off work and they got their hit list, and they're going to get their commissions early.
Right.
And then Saturday is a circus, the good kind, you know. And then
Right.
Sunday, it usually dies off pretty quick because, you know, Sunday fun day. And then
Right.
for me, it usually dies off because that's also family day, and there's not a lot of families coming in to buy independent horror. And that's okay because I got the Ninja Turtle thing under my belt and a couple other projects. And, you know, I'll draw anything for anybody. I'm just kind of a slut. But something happened this year where it was an absolute circus all 3 days for me. And it was the second largest, you know, 3-day show I've ever done. And that includes San Diego.
Wow.
So, like I said, I'm a bad
it-
one to ask because, like,
Well-
the stars just aligned or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, whereabouts were you in Baltimore?
Oh, I don't live there. Maryland is home, but I don't live near Baltimore.
He's talking about as far as you're looking at the show.
Yeah, at the show. Yeah, at the show.
Oh, so I'm kind of like, I'm closer to the front. If you walk in, there's a lot of vendors, and then it kind of it broadens out to guests, and then Celebrity Row is over on the left. But then, like, artist guests are kind of around there until you get to the middle of the room, and then Kids Love Comics and Artist Alley kind of begins, and then it's artists and creators all the way back to the end.
Yeah. I was tucked away in a corner, so I had a completely different experience. But that's interesting.
Which corner? Because
By
depending on the corner.
He was back in Artist Alley.
Yeah, in Artist Alley. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in the corner where there was absolutely nothing. Like they had a big open space of nothingness over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of bad.
Well, like I said, I'm the wrong one to ask because this year was an anomaly.
That's awesome.
Well,
That's awesome.
the reason I did want to ask though is Sunday we got down to maybe the last couple hours of the day, and you know everybody's kind of like soft packing up. They're putting away little things that aren't necessarily selling or whatever, and
Stretching out their lower backs.
you're right. I wanted to walk up to the front because there's some buddies up there I wanted to catch up before they rolled out, and
Sure.
there was nobody in Artist Alley, no customers whatsoever, but there was still a show going on up in the vendor and the guest artist area.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know how many more sales I would have squeaked out had I been up there, but surely more than what I was getting.
Yeah.
So as far as 25 goes, like I'm on board for the double Artist Alley table. I'll do that one more time, but I want to talk with the I think it's Chris that runs that. I want to talk with him about possibly doing vendor booth the next time, possibly double vendor booth. We'll see.
It's a super fun show, man. I love it, but I have a bias because I'm a Maryland boy, and I'm blindly loyal. You know that meme? It's like Maryland's not a state; it's a cult. That whole thing.
Haven't heard that.
You're right. We are, and we love it that way.
That's
We
funny.
are twisted, weird people, and we're not ashamed of it at all.
Nice.
At least you recognize it, right?
Well, you can't help it. When it's like us in Rhode Island and Delaware, when the state is that small, you need to just like decide to have that kind of a personality.
Them. Yeah, I mean, at that point, well, plus, I mean, as much history as y'all have out that way, it really is different going from Ohio into Pennsylvania, and then by the time you're crossing Pennsylvania into the different colonial states out there, it really is like stepping back in time.
Yeah, there's some spots in Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, West Virginia. There are definitely some spots where anybody with any sense of like architecture and modernization, it doesn't make sense for all of us to just look this way still, but we do it.
One of my favorite videos that I ever recorded, it wasn't any talking or anything, it was just filming like the environment, was actually, James, is the same area where we parked for getting breakfast there at the Blue Moon Cafe.
Mhm.
Walking down those little side alleys past all those houses that, like, they might be the same houses that have been standing there for the last 150 years. Like the little brick houses and everything. Like, I have no idea how old they are, but like you can just picture like dudes in tri-corner hats and powdered wigs walking around talking about the revolution.
But we grew up with that. And we grew up with that. I mean, I was born and raised in St. Michael's, and St. Michael's is known as the town that fooled the British. I mean, a lot of our houses are that old. We're born around that. So the tricorn hat thing is legit.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
So let me ask you this. Is it pretty haunted out there? Have you experienced that kind of stuff?
So I've had one paranormal experience in my life, and it's a long story, so I'm just not going to get into it, but it had nothing to do with Maryland. However, the paranormal trail in Talbot County and Cambridge, especially Cambridge, Salisbury, Talbot County, that's real enough. And like I said, I have never had an experience out there personally, but enough people are on board with it that I am hesitant to be like, all that crap's fake. Well, there seems to be an entire culture around all of that is diehard into it. My wife being one of them. And it's, I'm going to go ahead and say, enough crap went down historically that there's probably some residual shit.
Yeah. I don't know how you wouldn't, especially when you're talking, from Revolutionary War to Civil War and everything else. Like, I don't pretend to know anything in general. But when it comes to like ghosts and spirits and energy like that, like, growing up, people would tell me, because I grew up super conservative, people would say that they're not ghosts, they're demons trying to fool you. And I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. The demon moniker gets tossed around like crazy, basically by white people who just don't know the history of the other faiths. That's all.
Well, and so much of it ties together. That was the interesting thing, is like King Solomon is obviously talked about quite a bit in the Old Testament, but then he also, I believe, he shows up in the Hindu faith, if I remember correctly, and they talk about him showing up on a flying carpet. And I'm like, okay, like, how is this King Solomon dude being talked about in different parts of the world out there, let alone to this extent where he's showing up in cameos in other religious texts on flying carpets? It's buck wild.
The Stanley of faith structures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, most all religions got their creation myth from Gilgamesh anyway. That's easy to track. That's Googleable. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're talking that, like the Dead Sea Scrolls showing up, having, prior to that, I forget what the oldest texts were that we had for like the Bible, but then the Dead Sea Scrolls show up, and those then became the oldest that we had. There's so many similarities. I can't help but think that they're all kind of pulling from the same source material.
Gilgamesh.
Yeah, and in Gilgamesh, who knows? That might even be pulling from something else that we don't have yet.
Yeah, I mean, eventually time will tell, but right now Gilgamesh is kind of where it all started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Buck Wild, man. That's the kind of stuff. It's hard to explain to people when they ask what are you watching on Netflix? What are you doing? You know, what are you streaming anything? It's like I watch a lot of documentaries on this kind of stuff. I find it all super fascinating, and it's stuff that they don't teach you because it's too complicated to, you know, people just want a pat answer about stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think the last documentary I saw was Drawn to Perfection. It was about Dave Stevens.
interesting.
If for the art heads out there, if you want to feel like $1 million, get an education about one of the greatest there ever was, and realize just how bad you are at what you do. Watch a documentary about Dave Stevens.
No thanks. I already feel that way. I already feel worse.
That's funny. What were some of the highlights from it?
Mostly about the obsessive nature of an artist that knows what he needs to do to get the desired result. I mean, as artists, we are all chasing the desired result, right? That's why we want to get better. That's why we challenge ourselves. We're constantly throwing ourselves into this insanity half the time. Stevens was one of those guys who could do it and would do it, but knew what he had to do to get it, and had no qualms making you wait. He was notorious for getting a world of line weights and perfect pulls from one, maybe two brushes. The guy was just obsessive about it, and boy, did it take a long time. But he did it in such a way that it got all the right attention. You know, and the Rocketeer and the cover he did for Airboy, and I think Google anything Dave Stevens did, and there was a meticulousness to it.
Yeah.
And one of the highlights for me is really like a theory. It's like a speculative thing that I have.
Yeah.
I don't know. How well do you know your Seinfeld?
Not super well, but
okay. There was a famous episode with like a pirate shirt, like a pirate tunic.
Yep.
Okay, well, Seinfeld pulled a lot of the early episodes from his old stand-up. You know, that's not news. Everybody knows that. That was the whole point of the show.
Right.
Several years, maybe a few years before, when Seinfeld was doing that stand-up, like in real life, cutting his teeth, the Comedy Cellar, things like that. Dave Stevens wore, I think that pirate shirt thing, Dave Stevens wore, when he went through like a pirate shirt phase, there was like a tunic, because he was a handsome guy and he had his own sense of fashion, but he showed up for a while in like a weird tunic. And that was about the time when he was one of the sought after guys that Hollywood was starting to rub shoulders with, going, okay, everything you touch ends up looking great. So we want you to touch our things to make them look better, you know?
Gotcha.
And I got a theory that Seinfeld was in the room one day when Dave Stevens was wearing his pirate shirt. Because if you look at that episode of Seinfeld and you look at the photos of the shirt, it's the same damn thing.
That's funny.
I don't mean it's a tunic. I mean, it's that shirt.
With the ruffles and all that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that episode. It's funny because, so when Seinfeld was big on TV, I was too young to get the humor.
Okay.
But there's been a handful of times over the last few years where instead of coming back home in between shows, if it made sense to just get a hotel for a few nights and just stay on the road, that's what I would do. Well, Comedy Central, in the morning is Futurama, it's Seinfeld all day, then The Office, and then South Park at night. So it's pretty much just leaving Comedy Central on all day long. So I've been getting re-educated on Seinfeld.
There you go.
One road trip at a time. But that
Nice.
pirate ship one, or the pirate shirt one, definitely was a more recent one.
That show, it has become one of those things in the American zeitgeist. There is a Seinfeld episode or joke for any scenario, and
Oh yeah.
The Office has become one of those shows too. Everybody's got an Office, Seinfeld, Parks and Recreation joke.
Oh yeah. Parks and Rec was one I never got into. It every now and then that will be on in the morning instead of Futurama, and it'll make me laugh. I don't know the characters. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
never watched that one either.
but
That one's one that I didn't think I would love, and I ended up loving it. The one I'm all about now is a Canadian joint called Shoresy.
Oh my
If you're,
goodness.
you know about
What's
Shoresy?
Yeah, I've seen clips from it. Yeah.
Okay. If you're a hockey
interesting.
fan, if you like hockey, you need to be watching Shoresy.
Shoresy.
Yeah,
So what's the premise?
he's an interesting character.
Oh God, how can I explain this? So it's senior league hockey, and it's basically a show about a guy who's considered the worst of the worst. He's a great hockey player, but he's just a bad human being. And what you learn over the course of a few seasons is he's actually a great human being. He's just bad at showing others how great he is. But he's kind of a natural leader that people are always reluctant to follow, and he's reluctant to lead.
Yeah.
It's got more heart than just about anything, certainly anything on American television. It's clever and usually a little bit funnier than anything on American television. Canadian television writing standards are not as stringent or repressive as American writing has become.
Yeah.
So, when you're watching Shoresy and somebody says what's on their mind, it hits. And then when they say something that is deep and meaningful, it also hits. Nothing is sugar-coated or padded down. It's also, the guy who created Letterkenny is behind this as well, but I prefer this to Letterkenny. Filmed in Sudbury, Ontario, and it is about the fictional Sudbury, Ontario Senior League hockey team. But this is a hometown guy who grabbed his friends and his camera, and he went around town and made one of the best comedies I've ever seen. And my wife and I are both desperately waiting for season 4. We're angry that season 4 is not out yet. But it's just one of the best shows I've ever seen, and it's extremely quotable.
Is it
And you
streamable?
can learn from it. It's funny. It's good good heart.
Yeah. Is it on a streaming service?
So Canadian television, yes, but I think their contract is with Hulu.
Gotcha.
I think. I'm reasonably certain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I came across that one by mistake. Let's see, my wife was she's in school, so she was doing clinicals in Cincinnati. She was out in your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So she was in Cincinnati for a while. So it was just all right, since I'm in the house by myself, it is the art game. It is all art, no distractions, no interruptions. Here we go. So it was just turn on something and let it ride. And I can't remember what I watched, but it was one of those things where it said, well, if you watch this, you might like this. And I didn't turn it off in time, so it just came on. And I found myself laughing hysterically at this thing about hockey. And I didn't know what it was. I crushed 3 seasons in a week.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. There's your endorsement. I watched 3 seasons of a show in 5 days.
Yeah, I have a hard time watching anything that's entertainment while I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My brain wants to digest what's happening on the screen. But if I'm listening to something educational or just listening to talking heads talk about whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that is I can listen and hear what they're saying while I'm working on what I'm working on.
Mm-hmm. It's like you're having a conversation without actually talking to somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very strange. So yeah, I ended up dumping Hulu. I thought I dumped Disney Plus with that too, but apparently I only dumped Hulu. But I think I might pick up Netflix here in a little bit.
It's getting weird to try and figure out who you're getting rid of and who you're picking up, because now they all have contracts with each other, and if you get one, you get the other.
Yeah. For $5 more a month.
Yeah. It's what's even worse is when you're trying to watch like hockey, and this is something me and my wife were literally just talking about. So hockey now has at least Sabres here has contracts with not just the cable company. They have contracts with ESPN Plus, and I don't know. I'm sure they have contracts with other places too. But you got to pick and choose. Okay, where am I watching this? Am I watching it? Oh, if this is an away game, it's going to be on TNT. Okay, this is a random home game. Oh, it's not on MSG this week. It's on ESPN Plus.
Yep.
So you got to think. I have to buy cable, and I have to buy ESPN Plus just to watch if I want to try to catch every game. And some games, there's still games that are blacked out. You can't watch it all. It's
apparently YouTube Premium is the way to go now. I was talking to my brother about it. I was over at the house. He had 4 games on simultaneously, all in 4K.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he has
that's some bandwidth for your ass right there.
Dude, it was absolutely insane. I'm watching, and apparently it's whatever tile you have highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your audio is.
Yeah. So you can bounce between the 4. So if one of them cuts to a commercial, then you can bounce over to the other.
Nice.
And it's the price of a cable package, but then when you're watching YouTube, you don't get ads, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of
so I'm I don't watch games unless I'm hanging out with other people that watch games. Yeah. I don't follow anything, but I'll watch it if it's on. So I don't really need that. And again, I don't really watch stuff for entertainment, so the TV aspect of it doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah.
Not having ads would be nice.
Yeah.
But I've got a YouTube life hack. So if you want to skip ads, at the beginning, if you're watching on a computer, down in the bottom corner, it'll be right about here on your screen. There's a little eye with a circle around it. If you click on that eye, it'll bring up a thing that gives you an option to block the ad or report the ad. So if it's
what that is?
That's exactly what that is.
I never mess with this stuff. That's why I love you, Steve. You educate me. I need it.
if there's one thing that you get from this stream tonight, it's how to skip ads, and not have to wait the 5 seconds now it's 50 seconds. Sometimes you have to wait before you can skip.
Yeah, not doing it.
No, it's insane. It's because they really want you to buy YouTube Premium. But if you click the little eye again, it would be right down, down here. You click on that, you can block the ad and go right back into watching.
All they've guaranteed is that I'm not buying whatever the ad is for.
Yeah. Well, it irritates me so much that I know that they just want me to buy. YouTube could care less about the ad. They are just beating us into submission to get YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. If you're on Xbox, I watch a lot of YouTube on X. I don't play games on my Xbox anymore, but I'll watch YouTube. There's usually an option for that little I button down at the bottom. All you gotta do is hit up on your controllers. It'll take you right to that eye. And that's it. It doesn't on the Xbox, it doesn't let you do it every single time, but it's most of the time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a and hopefully YouTube's not listening. I don't know what it is about my YouTube, but my ads automatically skip without me ever doing anything. Literally just it goes it starts the ad, goes to a white page, and then it goes to the video. It's very interesting. I don't know what I did to my Google Chrome that it's hey, we don't want to give this guy an ad, but
hold on to that computer as long as you can.
I know, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know what it is. I mean, it doesn't work on my phone or anything else. It's not linked to my account or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah, you can do the same thing on your phone, hitting that little eye icon to skip, but it's a little bit harder to hit that button on that little tiny screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So as far as next week goes, it's going to be action packed. To give you guys a quick, for the listening audience, an assessment as to what my life's going to look like over the next week. Tomorrow is 100% get everything ready for this live sale. Friday, drive out to Chicago. I'll be out there Friday, Saturday. Probably drive back first thing Sunday morning. And then next week is I have to get this Kickstarter packed up and in the mail. The final box of books showed up at FedEx today. So I got that.
Hey, all right.
It's so weird. I'm using Mixum. And I'm not.
Oh, you told me about them.
Yeah, I actually showed it on the stream the other day. I don't think I'm even going to try to find the book because I've got stuff everywhere and I don't know where it went to. At any rate, the books look amazing. The problem is because I placed such a big order of like 8 different covers that I'm getting between existing properties that I just needed restocked, plus the Kickstarter. They ship them out as they complete them. So I've literally received like 6 different boxes over the last couple of weeks.
How many per box?
Some have as few as like 50 books in them. Some have as much as like 100.
That's interesting. It's almost like they're paying you in installments with your own product.
It's very strange. It's very strange.
Huh.
I don't know why they don't just send it all out in a couple bulk boxes, but pretty much the one book that I was waiting for to be able to start doing this, start packing orders, was the one that showed up today. So,
well, at least you got it though.
Yes, and they look fantastic. Like these are the best looking comic books I think I've ever seen, as far as like. You know, I'm not going to argue like quality of art. That's a different conversation. I'm talking about quality of print. Mm-hmm. They are the best looking books I've ever seen.
Like consistency and binding and things like that.
But also like how much the cover just pops, how shiny they are, how thick the cover is, like, and then the pages. Because there's been some books that I've gotten where the covers look good, but then the pages inside are kind of wavy because the ink was a little too wet or a little too saturated.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate, all the books are finally in. I
love hearing you say that. Like you said, that's the best you've ever seen, the way the color pops and how shiny it is.
Yeah.
I love that because that's the personal flavor that a creator brings to his product, right?
Yeah.
Because for me, like with Patchwork, I wanted silk bound paper. I wanted dead flat because my personal palette is mold down muddy tones.
Right.
So with the paper, I was like flatter, flatter, flatter. And then Eric at Broken Icon came to the table and he was like, yo, you need to check out what we're doing because we found this silk bound stuff that we love. And he showed me that. I was like, that's the one. Yeah. That's the one. So I kind of love hearing that. Like we have an appreciation for a lot of the same stuff, but your approach to a product is so different than mine. And that's just cool as hell.
Well, it depends on the book that I'm putting out.
Okay.
Because like Slaughter Dolls in particular, I wanted everything to pop. I wanted it to be as glossy as possible. Because I wanted it to be as eye-catching as possible. I really wish I could find it. I don't know where it's at. I've got too much stuff over here. At any rate, but like I've got some books coming out that are going to be darker and grittier, and I don't necessarily want that gloss and that sheen to it. I want it to have that darker, grittier, matte finish to it, not a gloss finish. At any rate, I was trying to figure out how I'm going to spend my time over the next week until Thanksgiving, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to try to start packing orders tomorrow. Number one, because I can try to get a few more pieces of work done. have that ready to go for the live sale. Plus, I need to pack the van and have that ready to go. But I can commit to setting up shop for Monday and Tuesday, and I can pretty much have everything packed up and ready to go. Take that all to the post office, get in the mail, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So Friday, Saturday, I'm going to be in Chicago. You guys follow Clan McDonald Comics. It would be streaming on Facebook Live. So that's sort of like the VIP section. If you want like first dibs on stuff, if you want to be able to jump on it before it's going up for auction where you got to compete with other people, Facebook Live where it's at. Whatnot and eBay Live, those will be the other two platforms that will be putting stuff up for auction on. So check that out. The next bit is then next week is Thanksgiving. I don't know when my brother and sister are coming home. Typically, my brother comes home a day or two early, and he just works from one of the spare bedrooms there. Does like he has like a phone job where he can like call customers and stuff. So depending on when he gets home and that sort of thing, I might do one more live stream next week. I don't know that it'll be Wednesday. Probably not Wednesday, just because that's Thanksgiving Eve, and I will definitely be over at the house hanging out.
Yeah.
But I might do a Tuesday thing, a Tuesday special. But then next week is turkey time, man.
Oh yeah.
Down to the wire.
Woohoo! I'm excited.
It feels like it snuck up on me.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's yet one more thing that makes the Maryland boy a weirdo. I never had turkey until I moved to Virginia. We have duck.
I hear there's parts of the country that do that. More of a duck thing than a turkey thing.
Very much so. The Eastern Shore of Maryland is all about the waterfowl festival.
Yeah.
So, ducks, geese, things like that. So I'm sure turkey is a thing for a lot of people. But boy, do we put the ducks away.
Somebody's got to.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's a bird either way.
It is a bird. Very fatty bird.
So do you guys
Very fatty bird.
big Thanksgiving plans for next week?
What, me? Oh.
Yeah, either of you. Yeah.
No, man, we're here. We're here. With her school schedule and what I got going with book work and everything else, it's now we're hunkering down. We're circling the wagons. We're gonna do the Friendsgiving. So basically, everybody in town that knows us, if you can't get out of town or if you got nowhere to go, or maybe it's one of those things where you hate your family, that's all right. Doors open. Come on in.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, we do the same thing every year. We go to her sister, my wife's sister's house, and we have dinner there and hang out with the family and watch some bad TV, and put away a couple pies and then go home. Sleep it off.
That's the trick.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Very cool. I think we're about that time, guys. Do you guys have one last thing that you want to share? Something, even though you're literally working on right now, or anything else that you want to plug before we wrap things up for the night?
Okay, this is proof that Patchwork Ends Volume 2 actually exists. It's coming.
Clip that. Get that frame. Zoom in. Enhance.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I'll be at Saratoga, New York this weekend, doing Saratoga Comic Con. Looking forward to it. I always have a blast at that show. We like to go and have fun. So if you're in the Saratoga area, you're watching this later, whatever, pop on by. I will be there. So
you drawing something too? Something you're working on there, or?
I just been trying to finish this last page of
dude.
This page of decks here.
Whoa!
Great,
yeah.
It's
a serious page, man.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this page. It's took me. It's unfortunate, but it's taken me a week to get this inked. I'm also trying a lot of new different techniques with inking and stuff too. So, trying to stay sharp and get this to that level that I want it to be at. I mean, I want when this book comes out, I want Marvel knocking on my door if I can.
Yeah.
There you go.
I want to be like, no, Marvel. Sorry.
Dude,
Sorry,
I've been
I got other things
hearing
going on.
from
You can't afford me, Disney.
get that mouse out of this house.
Yeah.
I've been hearing through the grapevine from some other buddies that have been knocking on doors trying to get work different places that most of these publishers, especially the big dogs, they're looking for guys and gals that can do sequential art,
Yeah.
whether it's pencils or inks, because apparently I forget who said it, but they're like, yeah, we can literally pick whoever we want whenever we want to do a cover,
Yeah.
because there's tons of people doing amazing cover art.
Yep.
But getting competent people that can do sequentials is becoming more of a premium, and you're getting a lot of mixed results from some of these places that are farming out from other countries.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I will attest to that. This is not like a brag. I'm expanding on what you just said.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've been doing lately, or some of these other companies, is I have become a layout artist. If there are pencilers in the world that are fantastic, they are really detailed, and boy, do they know their way around line weights and construction and dynamics. But what is becoming difficult is legitimate storytelling.
Mhm.
And the storyboarding background is coming back to haunt me, and I find myself doing layouts for books, for 22 pages, 28 pages, 46 pages, 53 pages, like whatever the story is. I'm becoming one of the layout guys. So there's no shame in that. I think it's more fun. All I have to do is tell the story. I mean, like I said, old school comics. This is for my book. I'm doing the layouts now. This is literally stick figures on a page,
Mhm.
and as long as the narrative is there, anybody can pick this up and read it, know exactly what's going on, which is what I want, But that is becoming a concern, that a lot of younger artists are having a hard time with storytelling first and meeting a deadline second when the storytelling is involved. So if what you're looking for is a job and you can tell a story, don't have any qualms about throwing your hat in the ring to be a layout artist, because that's where the storytelling is. From there, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to parlay something bigger from another publisher later.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't pencil this, but you told the story, and the story's legible and it's good. Now I want to see your other stuff.
Yeah.
Use what's in front of you as an audition for the next thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's I get asked at shows every now and then from folks that are trying to get into some kind of art career, but in particular with comics. And it's like, dude, Alex Ross said it on one of his videos, and it stuck with me. He's like, DC doesn't need another cover artist right now.
Mhm.
And he's like, when they can call me up, and they can call up, and he listed off all the big names, plus some of the bigger, like, call it the art influencer names, that they know that just dropping that name will sell covers.
Mhm.
And I put somewhere in between, like an Alex Ross and that influencer, like a Scotty Young, who has a style, but he's kind of built his own brand. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
They can call up these guys in a heartbeat and have a cover deal signed where they're paying those guys thousands and thousands of dollars for
Yeah.
a cover. Why are they going to go to you, someone who hasn't really done anything in comics, let alone have any sort of following online? Not that you have to have a following, but that's sort of their.
But it helps.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and that was my one buddy. He had actually talked to a agent from or a talent scout from DC Comics, and they flat out told him, they're like, the only way that we're picking up cover artists right now is if you've already been doing sequentials for us and you already have an established name, or you're freaking popular on social media. If you're on fire on social media, if you're going viral, then we want you on a cover.
Yeah.
Whether you stick around or not, it's another story. But that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to find out who can meet a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one of the big frustrations with a lot of publishers right now is that a lot of newer artists are starting to turn in portfolios and try and audition for things. Audition's the wrong word, but like get portfolio reviews and show up and the biggest influence on them is other webtoons. So all they have experience drawing is in a certain shape panel in a certain shape format. They're afraid of their own layouts. They will not break up a page, man.
Yeah. Yep. That's sort of the environment that we're in now. So it's like, can you hold up that page one more time, James? Because that looked. You don't have to show detail if you don't want to show detail, but it looked freaking killer, dude. Like,
see, that's what I'm looking for. Like when I start looking for folks who want to contribute to Patchwork, I'm looking for people who can create a page that's going to move me around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for the grid. I'm not slamming the grid. Dave Gibbons, The Watchmen, the grid. Are you kidding me? Brilliant. I'm not dissing the grid, but I want movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to lead the eyes around that page between the panels that you got and the word bubbles popping up.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
When I do my layouts, they're this big, and that is the only thing. That is like the primary thing I concentrate on is where does this flow, right? So and then go from there.
I probably have the worst. I tend to just go all in. Like I think about what I'm doing for a long time. I get an idea for what the story is going to be, and then I literally just get my blue line paper and I just start roughing it in.
Yeah.
And hope I don't mess up. It's not the best way to do it.
If it works for you, right? I mean, as long as you're able to tell that story, right? If it works for you. I find that when I draw really small, it gets me out of that, like, oh, I want to start doing detail because I can't. It's too small for me to do that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I can scribble in it, do a little bit of scribbles to shade out what I'm looking to shade. And then it gets me out of that space of I want to get to that next step because it's too difficult to do that because it's so small.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be really hard to see, but what I will do is I'll literally just go in with my rough pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're more like mannequins and silhouettes. Like this doesn't probably make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of see some hands in there.
Yeah, I see.
But it's like a roughest sketch. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of Slaughter Dolls 2 that got cut. That at this point I couldn't hardly even tell you what these pages are supposed to be. But at the time it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I kind of write in 3 phases. One is in my head. I think about the story for a long time. The second is I put out a more or less like a outline.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do this. I rough it out.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, it's like, does it make sense? Does it flow? Am I feeling it? Does this feel like what these characters would actually be doing? And if it doesn't make sense, then it literally just gets tossed to the side, move on, redo it. And then I write the dialogue. I don't write the dialogue until the very end. I don't know if that makes any sense at all or not.
It's probably about the way I process a little bit. Just a little bit. The part I struggle the most with personally, and it's something I'm working on right now, is doing like a good flow of the story. Because I'm like, okay, I have all this I want to accomplish. I don't quite know the end game just yet. Yeah. But I know what I want to establish in the first like comic and a half. But like, where's the pacing there? Like, you know what I mean? That's where I'm kind of struggling just a little bit. Is like, laying it out and like, okay, where's the climax? Where's the fall?
James, in general, how long is one of your stories? Like, if you're plotting out a story for a comic, about how long is it usually?
It goes, honestly, in my head, they all go forever.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's the part that I struggle with. Is like, as I'm creating the story, it continues to evolve. I want to add more. I want to do more. I have other characters I want to introduce, and I'm trying to get out of that headspace of like, okay, this is what I want the story to be about. This is what I want it to start. This is where I want it to end. I'm trying to kind of adjust my workflow a little bit so that I establish that better. I'm still like, I wrote a lot as a kid. So I'm kind of catching up. You know what I mean? I've been drawing for so long, and not concentrating on the writing aspect, that I'm kind of catching myself up. Like now I have to do all this like reprogramming of how I wrote and how I write. Because when I was a kid, I'd write stories and never
Mhm.
had an end, never had an ending. None of my stories. I could go on my bookshelf over here, pull out a notebook that I wrote in, and like, you know, it's like 20 pages, 30 pages long of writing, and there's no ending. It doesn't end. I get like 90% there, and then I lose focus because I don't know how I want it to end, and then I stop writing. It's something I'm struggling with. Something I struggle with a little bit.
I'm so afraid as a writer, and I limit myself because I'm almost obsessive about a 3-act structure because I don't think I'm nearly good enough to break away from that format.
Yeah.
If I come up with an idea for a story, I obsess over whether or not I think it's really a good idea. And when I finally land on whether it is or not, I immediately write what I think is a cool ending. I need the ending to be satisfying, or else I've just wasted time. And I'm like that mostly about movies.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
not a bad way.
if I don't have a dope ending, why am I doing any of this?
I'm the exact opposite. I like
I
nail
love
down.
that.
I nail down the origins, and like I'm like, the origins have to be fucking cool. And if they're not, like, I'm not interested in writing the rest of the story. But then I'm like, how do I want this to end?
See, this is how you know you and I are going to end up writing a story together at some point.
Yeah, I'm great at the beginning. You're great at the end.
I will. I'll just crush an ending.
So James, when you're writing, are you planning on making this like an ongoing series, or are you like, this definitely needs to be like a 3-part series?
So the one I'm writing right now, I think I've kind of nailed it down. Is I think I want it to be 5 or 6 comics.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good number
Yeah.
to land on. And I think I could start and end it in that time frame.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that I still have to tweak in the middle parts of the story. And even then, some like the first comic I pretty much have planned out, but then I'm thinking, like, is this too much for one comic? Is this too little for one comic?
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of like reading through some other stories and stuff like that, and like, okay, how much do they establish in a comic? And like I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, maybe I'm doing too much in a comic. I don't know. Some of these comics you read and you're like, oh, I feel like we haven't gotten anywhere.
Right.
And some of them are like, what just happened? You know.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough. Getting that pacing down is really important, I think.
So with the pacing, I think that's where maybe take a little bit from Matt's world of thinking it from a 3-act idea, because even like on your general TV shows for series that go on for seasons over seasons,
Mm-hmm.
the first act is usually resolving some kind of issue that happened from the last episode.
Yeah.
And then sets up conflict for this next episode that we're currently on. The second act is going to be all those stories. We got a visitor?
We have a visitor, yeah.
Who we got?
We got my littlest one.
Uh-oh.
All right, quick, rated G.
Rated G, yeah. Look at camera's here. You say hi.
Hi. And just like that, we're family friendly.
Yeah,
just like
that. For
Go back to
30
Mama.
seconds. We
Go back to Mama.
cleaned
30
up.
more seconds, yeah.
But yeah, that first act is usually resolving the conflict from the first episode, and then also establishing where you're going to go for this episode.
Yeah.
Second act is going to be the story content, the sort of the narrative playing out, and then your third act for that episode is setting up some sort of cliffhanger that's going to spill into your next episode.
Yeah.
I didn't realize just like how much light this thing was actually putting out.
Quite a bit.
A lot. It's good.
But that's how I approach podcasting. We had like 150 episodes, and every single episode was kind of picking up meat of the story, setting up a cliffhanger. But At any rate, I think it's about time we wrap this up, friends. Do you guys have any closing thoughts, closing comments before we call it a night?
Nah, man, I'm good for the night, man.
Cool.
Thanks for letting me tune in, dude. I appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging out, dude.
Hanging out with you guys.
You got it. Well, I'm gonna let you go handle that situation. We'll see you, James. Matt, you got any closing comments for the evening?
I'm just excited because Patchwork is off and running again.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I'm so excited. Glad I could tune in. I can't tune in every night, but I'm glad I could make it this night. I just wanted to be in the studio and hang out with some friends, man.
You got it, brother. Well, and sometimes it's good just like when you're working on stuff, be able to talk to somebody else because this usually isn't a social sport what we do.
Yeah.
You know, that's usually a very solo thing, and you spend hours working on something and you get done, and it's like a lot changed right here, but the world has no idea.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I can't see the chat. Was Danielle here tonight?
I don't think she popped. There was the count fluctuated from here to there, but I didn't see Danielle pop in. She said earlier on she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to make it or not. So
I got to get in touch with her because when I mentioned Laughing Ogre, but while I was there, I stumbled across a book that I picked up. I'm gonna see if I can find another copy. Send it to her for Christmas because I found a book that I think she might find really fascinating. She's got a unique style, and it's very, very cool that there is still someone out there that has taken Leyendecker, Mucha, and Disney and putting it all in a blender.
Yep.
And I think she's onto something, but it's an untapped resource because, I'm going to see if I can find her another copy of this book and send it to her. So I'll get in touch with her. I'll hit her up on Facebook. So.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight, everybody. Have a great night. And then if I'm doing anything next week, I'll put it up on social media. But otherwise, have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.
All right, sir.